Hey, welcome to Mold Mending. You've got Renee Rivera here. Today we're going to talk about mail and your post office. Got some mail here that I need to mail today and thought, need to share with you guys because I have mold illness. Mail is an issue. Mail is an everyday issue that I have to navigate wisely. And if you are dealing with mold illness, I would hope would consider this as well. So this is why I am bringing this up. So at my local post office, I moved to a new town. You know, we moved cross country and finally was able to get mobile again. Went to go mail something as well as to get a package. You know, the packaging where you can pack quite a bit of things in a $6 box or $20 box, you know, the 2-day mail, priority mail, I think is what it's called. It's been a while. And walked in there. Now, keep in mind, this is before I had set boundaries. And this is before I set up non-negotiables for myself. So I walked in there and actually went, I believe, twice to this post office. First time I walked in, I'm like, that's an odd smell. I could smell the must as soon as I opened the door. You know, you open one door, didn't smell anything, and then the other door that goes to the main area, that's where I began to smell stuff. And I was like, what is that smell? And again, this is when I was new, still deciphering smells and deciphering how to detect mold and such, because I wasn't seeing any. I was looking around and I didn't see any. The place looked clean. And I was like, is this dust? Is this mold? What is this? But there was a must smell. At the time, I just thought, well, I'm already here. Buy the stamps, get the packages, bring them, let's go home. So I go home after picking up these boxes so that I could package them and send them off to kids, you know, where they live, friends, and didn't think anything about it. And then went a second time to go mail a package. Walked in there, and then I realized, oh no, I've now contaminated myself because I've just walked into a moldy building again. Now I've got another building that I have to add to my list that I no longer can enter unless I want to pay the cost. And the cost is having to remediate everything when I go home. The cost is this is going to affect my breathing. The cost is this is going to affect my skin. The cost is this is going to make me sick for several days. So I literally stood in that line the second time trying to decide. I mean, it was like an inner war trying to decide, do I stay here? I just took all this energy to drive here, though it was in my town. I finally got out of bed, got up, went and did this. I now have this package to mail. I'm standing in line. Do I just leave and find another spot? I didn't know another spot to go to at that time. So I stood in line. And I'm telling you, this is not the route to go. But I stood in line while going through this mental battle of, I've just done it again. I've just re-exposed myself. Now that I'm here the second time, this is definitely mold. The smell is mold. And do I stay? Do I not? I chose to stay because I had only 2 more people ahead of me. I just kind of was covering my face a little bit. Did the exchange, did not get extra boxes since I figured it out this time. I left and I was so disappointed that this was another territory. I cannot walk in again. I had to go home then and I had to remediate all of my clothing. That means throwing it in the wash machine with borax. That means having to take ammonia and clean everything shoe-wise and jewelry that I was wearing that day. That meant I had to shower and completely head to toe scrub so that I did not carry any of that contaminant further into my home. And then of course, typically there would be other things, so body-wise, that I would have to deal with. So since that day walking in there, I made the decision. Yes, that day I made a wrong decision of staying there and just finishing doing my exchange. But because I needed to finally make a decision and decide no longer to compromise, I've never walked into that post office again. As well as I took all of the packages that I took from the first time I was there and I threw them away, and I remediated the area also with ammonia. So what happens is, when there is mold in a place like a post office, what's going through that building? It's all these paper items. They're porous. They are collecting spores from mold, and they are traveling to the next place. And this is not healthy for those of us with a mold illness. So I not only cannot enter that post office again, nor order any kind of boxes or stamps that I know are going to be delivered from that post office, because any product that comes from them is going to be contaminated with mold. I'm not bringing that into my house. The other thing is, I now have a daily protocol I need to do with my mail. I will, number one, no longer compromise, like I said. Second of all, if I need to be mailing something, I will have to drive to the next town over, which is 15-20-minute drive one way. But I have peace of mind, and I'm not having to remediate, and I'm not getting sick. And they're actually faster. But I have to pay for the gas to get there and pay for that health, I'll call it. So the cost is worth it to be in a healthy environment to do my business of mailing things. The other option that I can do, instead of driving a town away, is I can go just down my street. I will have to pay double the price to mail something because it is a third-party mailing company. But I have those two options. And yes, it costs me more than just going to my local post office, but I would rather pay more. That is a decision all of us with the mold illness eventually have to come to terms with, is understanding the cost and also be willing to pay the right cost to stay healthy. And so for me, the right cost is paying the extra money for postage at a safe place to walk into either of these locations, and avoid my post office at all costs. Not an option. So I'm not going to be sick for days again and have to re-expose my home and re-expose myself to mold. So because this is a moldy place, there are some other things that I've realized I have to rule out. So like I bought an air diffuser, and inside of it, it had this little card that said you could, you mail it in and you get a free 1-year subscription to this home magazine. And I realized I can't do that, because if I get a subscription to a magazine, where is it going to sit before it gets into my home? It's going to sit at that post office, my local post office. It will pass through before it comes to my post box down my street. It's going to sit at that post office, and it's going to collect some spores on it. Then it's going to pass into my mailbox. Then I will get it, bring it home, and start reading it and flipping through the pages. And guess what I'm doing? I'm cross-contaminating my home. And I even thought, well, I could order it, and then these magazines can only be read outside. Well, I have snow here. And why would I still compromise? It's still a compromise. And that's still an opportunity to be contaminated. So I've never mailed in that postcard. And then also, when I do get things in the mail, I have a bag that I will, if I go and get the mail, if I walk to our so we're in a mobile home community, and we have to walk or drive to where our mailbox is. It's a long lane of many post boxes, and you've got a little key to get into it. And so when I walk down there, I bring a bag with me so that I'm not carrying all of the mail in my hand and having more exposure to mail longer than I need to be. Instead, it goes into a bag, it gets tied in a knot, and I take actually cleansing wipes with me too, and wipe my hands after I pulled it out of the bin. and put it in the bag and knot it. Then I go to my outside trash receptacle and I open up my mail and throw away everything that's an ad. Yeah, the coupons, the ads, the magazines, unless it's my husband's, which he doesn't have anymore. So I don't have to worry about magazines coming to the house at all, ever since we took care of that protocol. What else? So the only thing that actually gets to come into my home typically is just a bill. When I'm able to open it outside, even greeting cards, Christmas cards, I get them, I read them, they're beautiful. I have gone through the grieving of not being able to keep cute, sentimental things like that. I take a picture of it now, and then it gets discarded in the trash bin. There's some cute things that people have sent me, but I just can't bring it into my house because it has gone through a moldy post office. There are also some folks that are mailing me things that are coming from a moldy environment that they're in as well. And sometimes even the safe environment home, I can even smell it on the envelope. So I'm not smelling mail no more. And it's just because of where I live and the post office I'm dealing with, it can't stay in my home accumulating. So we are not all digital yet, but the goal would be, I'll just say on warm days, the mail is being opened outside. During the wintertime, it gets opened on the inside of our home. But immediately I'm ripping through all of the mail, getting rid of all of the outside packaging. It's getting thrown away. And if it's an important bill, then that will go into my husband's office, put in a specific place. Everything else gets a picture taken and it's tossed. That's my protocol for dealing with mold at our post office. So then when I'm done handling all the mail, I make sure I wash my hands. If it's touched, like my apron or what I'm wearing, I will change. But typically I don't have to go that far. It's usually just the hand washing, and then the table that gets wiped down as well with ammonia. But I just wanted to share another tip to consider is even our mail can be a culprit of giving us allergic reactions or causing extra inflammation because of the mold that's coming through our mail, or the mold that's coming because of the post office that it's traveling from and then to us. So even our mailbox is big enough that even packages can go in there, you know, the smaller packages, like a size, I don't know, like the size of a mini lotion or something, or a box that's this size. It looks like a 4x4 box. So like when my husband or I order something, or even like a shirt or whatever, they can package that, fold it, and shove it in our mailbox. And so I have learned that I can't even keep those, the packaging is not a wise thing for me to save and to use on other things. So yeah, so if there is a package that I do need to save because I need to try on a shirt or whatever, and they're usually those plastic outer poly bags, I've actually wiped that poly bag down with ammonia before it gets folded and saved on my counter. And then I go and try on that outfit before it gets packed back in and returned or not. And if it's a keeper, then that bag gets thrown away. Bye. Don't keep it. So there you go. Just another daily tip of how to wisely navigate mold in just your everyday life. Stay safe, be well, and we can be well even while ill as we're healing, as we're going through this healing journey. I hope this really encouraged you and helped you out. Take care.